Derby Wars, racing's biggest contest site, is now even bigger with more than 200 games every day. Check out Survivor, Derby Wars' hottest new game. It's fun, easy to play, and for just $4 you could win $1,000. Just pick a horse to finish first, second, or third and advance to the next race. With daily payouts and games starting every hour, you'll see why fans are racing to play Survivor. Go to DerbyWars.com now, use promo code Survivor to get 5 free Survivor games with your first deposit.
Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, Kentucky Derby Watch, Kentucky Derby Week. I am, as always, joined by my co-host to the East Coast, Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
I am excellent. I am so looking forward to heading to Louisville and hanging out with you guys.
Hang out with us for sure, Matt. It's going to be fun. Of course, I'm Brian Zipsey. I'm your host here of HorseCenter. Thank you for joining us. If you've never been with us before, welcome. We're going to talk Kentucky Derby this week. And actually, after our pace projection edition last week, Matt, we're going to talk about some bets. And I want to know, what is your favorite bet for the Kentucky Derby and how are you going to lay it out this year, 2016?
Well, you know, Brian, my favorite bet for the Derby is the trifecta. For me, it's a risk and reward wager. I'm going to invest a pretty good amount of money with the chance that I'm going to be rewarded with a big payoff. It's the 20-horse field. It's the only time in our country that we get to bet on a 20-horse field. So you got to go for it.
The stakes are high for the horses, the connections, the people, but the stakes are high for us bettors as well, Matt. Trifecta 20 horses, the payoffs are generally good. More often than not, last year being an exception, they're in the thousands. So sure, you might want to invest a few more dollars than you normally do, but the payoff should be good if you can hit it. Matt, let's get right into your trifecta ticket, if you will. I'm going to give you a trifecta too, although that's not my favorite Kentucky Derby bet, as I think you know.
Right, Brian. I'm sure we'll get to your favorite wager after I do mine. I've been thinking about this wager since the points race has kind of wound down, and we've gotten a better picture of who's going to be on the field. It's been a tough year for me to get things to where I want, and maybe I'm not exactly there yet, but my decision is, Brian, that I've got it down to 4 horses, 4 key horses. I really believe that the winner of this year's Derby will come from Exaggerator, Motom, Brody's Cause, and Nyquist. And I am going to use those 4 horses.
I'm writing this down, Matt.
Well, you know what, Brian? I'm going to post a blog later in the week where I'll have it all written down. And I'm going to use those 4 horses in all 3 places on a trifecta part wheel, and then I'm going to add in the other horses that I like in the race. And besides those 4, it's probably going to be 5, 6 other horses in the second and third positions on the trifecta ticket.
Sounds good. Matt, let's keep rolling. Let's make these tickets. Let's construct these tickets for everybody watching today.
Okay.
On top.
So I'm going to have those 4 on top, and then in every position, and I'm going to add in there with them. I'm going to add in Gunrunner. I'm going to add in Sudden Breaking News, Majesto, My Man Sam, Motom, Mo Heyman, and Tom's Ready. I got an emphasis on the closers because that are going to have big prices because they're the ones that can get up for second or third place. So it's going to be approximately a 4 by 10 ticket, or maybe 4 by 11 when things get finalized. But folks, you can do with it what you want. That's a format for you to use to make your trifecta tickets. If you've got it narrowed down to 2 horses that are keys, then just use 2. If you love Nyquist, then just use Nyquist. But it's the format. I'm willing to put in a lot of money on this ticket because I know what it could pay off if, for instance, Motom wins the race and Nyquist doesn't come in there, it's going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars.
Okay, so we're going to give tickets out today, Matt. So it sounded like about a 4x10 by 10-ish. We can bet 50 cents on the Kentucky Derby trifecta, can't we?
Oh, yes, I will be doing that.
So that 4x10 by 10 would be 400 combinations on a 50-cent ticket. You're investing $200. And Matt gave you his 4 over the ones he wants to use above, and that's in the second and third place. I'm going to do a similar ticket for my trifecta. I'm going to go with 5 horses on top, folks, and they're not the same as Matt's 4, although they're similar. My 5 are my Kentucky Derby bomber, Majesto. I like Majesto. He's looking good. I think he's a distance horse. He might be better suited to hit the board than to win it, but I don't want to miss it if he does win it for trainer Gustavo Delgado. I also like Nyquist as the most likely winner of this year's Kentucky Derby. More Spirit has never finished worse than second. I think he's a 1.25 mile horse for trainer Bob Baffert, the best Triple Crown trainer of them all. I also have Exaggerator. Dangerous. He looks great, folks, on the backside. I've been watching Nyquist since he's gotten here. I really like the looks of him. Of course, I've fallen for him before. He was my Breeders' Cup Juvenile failed selection. Big Santa Anita Derby. I'm going to include him as one of my top 5. And Brody's Cause. Brody's Cause may be my favorite of the closers, coming off a Bluegrass win for Dale Romans. So I have 5 on top. I'm only going to add 2 more for second, because I really like my top 5. The 2 more that are both ralliers that could get up for second on my ticket, besides the top 5, are Mo Tom, one of Matt's favorites, also looking very good. And then from the Donnie Von Hemmel barn, Sudden Breaking News, who I also think is born to run 10 furlongs. So I have 5 by 6 now, as I added 7 horses. You subtract 1 of the 5, so it's a 5 by 6 in the top 2 spots. And then I'm just going to add 4 more horses below. Those 4 horses, I had to make some tough decisions, but the 4 horses below are Gun Runner, Creator, Whitmore, and Destin. So what does this mean? With the 11 horses total, it's actually a 5 by 6 by 10. That's 300 combinations. That's a $150 trifecta ticket. Matt, you know my top 5. Those are the same 5 I'm going to use on my favorite wager, which of course is the Kentucky Derby, Woodford Reserve, and Kentucky Oaks. I said them out of order. I said them backwards. I'm just excited about the Kentucky Derby, folks. Kentucky Oaks on Friday, Woodford Reserve, Kentucky Derby on Saturday. It's a pick 3, and it's 3 of the best races of the first half of the year. Love this bet. I've done well with this bet in the past. I'm going to use 4 horses in the Kentucky Oaks, Matt, and I want you to tell me what you like in this bet as well. 4 horses in the Kentucky Oaks. I think Rachel's Valentina is looking spectacular since she's arrived here at Churchill Downs. I've handicapped. I was actually looking for someone to beat the favorite because I think she is the favorite, but then I realized 14-horse field, wide open race. I don't think she's going to be bet below 7-2. She might even be a 4-1-ish favorite in there. I like her best of all. I got to use her. Now, just like I had Majesto as a bomb in the Derby, I have Dream Dance as my bomber in the Oaks. Dream Dance is a smallish filly who ran a lot of good races last year. She seldom won the big one, but she's only had 2 races this year for trainer Neil Howard, who's won this race in the past. I think Dream Dance is going to be 30-1 or so. She's coming off a nice confidence-building win. Keeneland's an allowance race. Her only other race this year, she ran second to Land Oversea in the Fairgrounds Oaks. I think Dream Dance is getting good at the right time. She's a tough little filly. She likes Churchill Downs. Include her as a bomb in the Oaks. The other 2 I like are Land Oversea is my next most likely winner for trainer Doug O'Neill, the same connections as Nyquist. She won the Fairgrounds Oaks impressively after getting away from the great Songbird. I like her quite a bit in here. And Lewis Bay would be my 4th of the 4. Looking really good. Another one looking really good from the Chad Brown barn. She's a 9-furlong horse. She's proven that already, and I think she has a good shot in the Oaks. Now, the Woodford Reserve on Saturday, the turf race, is still a little bit fluctuating. The good news, Matt, is we found out today, I talked to trainer Mark Cassie, and he said that Tepin is going against the mare. She's going to try to defend her title in the Distaff Turf Mile, so she will not be in the Woodford Reserve 9 furlongs against the colts, against the older males. So unfortunately, that makes this race a little tougher. It does, however, probably bring in an even bigger payoff. The 4 that I'm leaning towards right now, the field is not completely set, folks, so bear with me. But the 4 that I'm sure will be on my ticket include last year's champion turf horse, Big Blue Kitten, although I do think he's beatable, 9 furlongs, first out this year. Bolo might be the horse to beat, coming from California, a really nice middle distance turf horse. Divisadero I like a lot. He needs a little bit of pace in here from the Buff Bradley barn. He also likes the Churchill Downs turf course. I think he'll run a big race. He is rounding back to his best form. And as a little bit longer shot and a horse near or on the lead, I like Tourist, who unfortunately ran 3rd at Keeneland in the Makers 46 mile, but I think 9 furlongs fits him well. And if there is not a lot of pace in here, I think Tourist is a horse to use. So I'm talking Rachel's Valentina, Landover Sea, Dream Dance, Lewis Bay and the Oaks, Big Blue Kitten, Bolo, Divisadero, and Tourist in the Woodford Reserve with Mahesto, Nyquist, More Spirit, Exaggerator, and Brody's Cause. Matt, that's a mouthful. That's a 4x4x5 ticket, folks. That is 80 combinations. You can bet that for 50 cents for only $40.
Yeah, that's not a bad-sized ticket at all, Brian. And I just want you folks to know that it wasn't too many years ago that Brian Zipsey came up with a over 30-1 winner in Kentucky Oaks that probably triggered one of his best wagering days in his life. But I pretty much agree with you in the Oaks. I love Rachel's Valentina in there. I think she needed that race on her return, and she ran a super race in there. She's a gutsy, courageous horse going to the wire, and I think she'll have some good value in there, Brian, because like you said, it's a 14-horse field.
Yeah, Rachel's Valentina, daughter of Rachel Alexandra, of course, who won this race by 20 lengths. Don't be too worried about the favorite in this bet. If you hit it, it's going to pay even with 2 favorites. Rachel's Valentina, like we said, will not be a low favorite. Matt, just give me a few other horses you're going to use in the Oaks on this ticket. You can also bet, folks, the Kentucky Oaks Kentucky Derby double, which is a simpler bet. So, Matt, maybe we're constructing one of those tickets for you.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I'm going to use Rachel's Valentina. I'm going to use Landover Sea, and I was very impressed with Lewis Bay when I saw her win her last race in New York. I think this is a horse that is maturing and getting better, and under Chad Brown's care, I think she's going to run well. So I'm going to probably use those 3, and it would be hard for me not to throw in the Zipsy long shot, and I'll use those with my 4 from my trifecta ticket in the Derby. That's Exaggerator, Motom, Brody's Cause, and Nyquist.
All right, so Matt is jumping on with me with the Kentucky Oaks. Folks, that's just a 4x4 for Matt there, so that's only 16 combinations. You can bet, you can bet a $2 daily double.
Oh, yeah.
Oaks Derby for $32 there. Matt, as we're getting closer to the Derby, let's talk about why we made some of the decisions we made. Has anybody moved up your Derby list? Has anybody moved down your Derby list in the last week?
I think as I've thought about it, I certainly have moved Exaggerator up. I think that his last race at Santa Anita was super impressive, and I don't believe that it was just simply a sloppy track aided race. I think he's a horse that has a great move, and I think he's a horse that's shown the kind of speed that you need, the acceleration, the burst of speed that you need that I'm looking for. I think it's Motom's time. Also, I think the mistakes are behind him. I'm going with that horse. I believe in that horse, and I think that And I agree with Brody's cause. And I want to say to the fans that if they haven't had a chance to watch the roundtable that you hosted with Dale Romans and Tom Amos, they should make sure that they do that. It's up on our YouTube page. Those two guys were wonderful on that show. Not touting their horses, but talking about the Derby and how the Derby plays out. And Tom Amos is just terrific on air. I know you guys have all seen him on TVG, so he's so well spoken, and it was a terrific show. And I learned from that, and it reaffirmed to me that to all you fans, you got to adjust your handicapping to the Derby. You can't rigidly apply all the things that you do to a 7-horse field or a 10-horse field to the Derby. Things happen in the Derby that don't happen on a regular day, and I see a lot of people tweeting stuff and saying stuff, and I think they're running into trouble because they're treating the Derby just like any other race, and it is not. You got to design your wagers, and you got to think about other things. And I go back to our last show, Brian, when we talked about pace, and we disagreed with what a lot of people said. And what happened in the roundtable? Amos and Romans, and later I saw an interview with Todd Pletcher, and they agreed with us that there's always pace in the Derby.
There's almost always pace in the Derby. We think so this year, Matt. Notice we weren't talking about horses like Dancing Candy, Outwork, who looks very good. Nyquist is one of those horses that's going to be close. Gunrunner. Motom, yeah, it was a nice roundtable with myself and Joe Christofek hosting Dale Romans and Tom Amos. Those guys aren't afraid to say what's on their mind, and I think both of them have 2 live horses in the Derby. Motom, of course, has just had horrid trips the last 2 races in the Risen Star Stakes and the Louisiana Derby. Both horses in with a big shot. Matt mentioned Exaggerator and Motom, horses that have moved up on his list of late. 2 horses with a real explosive turn of foot, by the way. So yes, they are dangerous horses to make that move on the turn and be getting on or near the lead early in the stretch of the Kentucky Derby. Interesting horses.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Give me your Derby winner. 1 horse, give me your Derby winner, and then I'll give you mine.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say Nyquist because I do think he's the most likely winner. But you asked me 1 horse. I'm going to say Mahesto because I want that 50-1 shot. I think we're due for another 50-1 shot, and I really like Mahesto.
And you know what, Brian? I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to give you Nyquist. I think that if I have to pick a horse, he's the horse that stands above the field. I don't buy I don't buy the pedigree stuff. He's tough. He wins. My opinion, Nyquist is going to win the race or he's going to be out of the money. But if you're asking me for a pick, I say Nyquist.
All right, so one of us is a chalk-eating weasel, and the other of us is a little bit more adventurous. Matt, you know what? I have. We've talked about three different bets here. We've talked about Kentucky Derby trifectas. Both of us gave you one there. I lean more towards the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks, Woodford Reserve pick 3. Matt went strictly Oaks and Derby. We talked about several horses. If you don't like the favorite like Matt does, if you don't want to be on the bomb like I am, there's plenty of other opportunities, other horses to throw in there. Hopefully, at least, 4 of those tickets that we gave you are winners. I think we only gave out 4 tickets, so that would be pretty good, Matt. Well done, sir. We're in Derby week. I'll see you Wednesday.
I'll see you Wednesday, and I will see Ember Marr, our terrific producer, in person on Wednesday.
Can't wait, sir. Thank you for joining me again today. Thank you, Ember Marr, as always. And thank you, folks, for watching another Kentucky Derby Watch edition of HorseCenter. As always, we're brought to you by the best contest site out there, and that's Derby Wars. We'll see you after the Kentucky Derby. Have a good Derby, everyone.